Welcome, everybody, to the California Rodeo Salinas podcast, or as we like to call it, the M&M Show, where Mandy and Amanda try new things that we've never done.
We hope you're ready to saddle up with us. The podcast is called Where the West Comes Alive, and we're excited to show you some behind the scenes and unique stories about the California Rodeo Salinas.
And you know where you can meet us in the town they call Salinas at the California Rodeo. At the California Rodeo. Oh, yeah.
We're so excited to have our in-studio guest today. He's a longtime committeeman, director, and new officer of the California Rodeo, Matt Jenkinson.
Hello, good to be here. Good to see you guys.
And joining us from Oklahoma is Andy Burelle. He's been coming to Salinas for over 20 years, and he has 2 titles in Salinas and 2 world championship bullfighting titles.
Our second guest today is 4-time BFO World Champion Freestyle Bullfighter and 2023 California Rodeo Salinas Freestyle Bullfight Champion, Weston Rutkowski.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
So I think it's pretty cool today. We kind of have a 360 perspective a little bit of the Salinas bullfights. We have, let's say Andy, an old school kind of guy, Weston, new school, and Matt with the committee legacy part of it. So we're going to get to see a little bit of each perspective of how the bullfights come together. I think we should start with old school. Like, Andy, tell us about Salinas bullfights when you were fighting.
Man, a little different. I think it's a little safer for people now. You know, we've made some upgrades to the way we run the bulls out, and back in the old days, we just let the bulls out into the big arena from the track. If you've never been to Salinas, so we have a track that runs around the big part of the arena, and we'll put what we call the flying gates on either side of that to cut that off to actually make another smaller arena where the bullfights actually happen. Well, as soon as when I was fighting bulls there, as soon as you were done fighting your bull, all they would do was open a gate to the big arena. And there's always a fireworks trailer out there and people milling around. And so you turn a bull loose out there and they'd go smoke somebody. And several times we've had them hit the fireworks trailer and try to upend it. And it was a little Western back in the day. And, we've taken a little bit of that liability out of it, and a lot of that's thanks to Matt and his crew, for years and years and years. We just kind of had to have, pickup men on the spot ready to rescue somebody. And it was always hard getting the bulls out of the big arena down to the back pins. And man, those guys came up with some great ideas and built these awesome alleyways and more flying gates where they can just back a tractor in, and basically these bulls get turned out and they go straight down an alley to the back pens now. And so it's a lot safer for the spectators anyway.
To make it make sense, when was the first year that you fought bulls at Salinas, like old school? What year was that?
1999, a long time ago. Yeah.
Hey, he still looks young.
Yeah. Matt, tell us a little bit about like the bull trailer, the process, how that works.
Yeah, so there's quite a few moving parts to the whole group, and so just the logistics of setting the bull trailer, but making sure you set it soon enough during the show, because you've got everybody that parks in the back, and we've had multiple times where we've had to tow vehicles and move them out of the way with forklifts just to be able to get the bull trailer in and out. But then the whole process of loading the bulls, I mean, just like you see out in the big arena, it's a show in itself back in the pens. It's a group that has to know what they're doing, to get them in. And over the last couple of years, we've kind of changed it up to where we just load kind of all the bulls at once, and we don't do so much of the sorting. But there's been some wild times back there just in the pens, and and then the trailer, the infamous Salinas trailer, it's moving parts and just the logistics and setup, everything's a time crunch, and we have a whole crew of about 30-40 guys that all have a job to do when it comes time, and it's go time, and we set up that arena during the show, and bulls, and we're ready for fireworks and ready to go, man. It's a fun time.
So you brought up the bull trailer. Who designed that? Was that unique to the Salinas rodeo, or rodeo? Who designed it? How did that come about?
So that was a Valley Fabrication, which is one of our longtime sponsors. I believe it was Mike Rainey at the time, was talking with, I believe it was Benny and a couple other people, and they were trying to figure out logistically how you could do it, but how you could do it safe. And that's where the idea of, the trailer to get the bulls out and back in. And, back in the day, I remember how big some of those Borba bulls were, and some of the slots in that trailer, those bulls were so big we couldn't close the doors down on them, whereas now, they all kind of fit, and they're a little smaller, and they're still agile. I'm not, they're still mean, right? I just truly enjoy this event, and I truly enjoy all the people I've met, the bullfighters, and just everybody that kind of comes along with it. And it means a lot to me and to my family, my dad and Benny. And for 30 something years, that's how I kind of came into the rodeo, was through this event and doing the dirt work, and I've been a part of it for since probably 1996, 64, somewhere in there. So it's meant a lot to me, and I'm glad to be a part of it still, and help it be what it is today, because it's very sought after, and it's a great event.
So that kind of takes us to new school. Like, Weston, what's your new school recently? When did you start fighting bulls in Salinas?
So actually, I was very fortunate. I started fighting bulls in Salinas pretty much right after I started fighting bulls. I started fighting bulls at the end of 2011, and I got to come to Salinas in 14. I kind of just found my way in the bullfights and had some success quickly. And I want to say that with the help of Burelle and the unfortunate events of Kyle Lippincott breaking his leg the week before Salinas started, I got the phone call to come in 14. So 2014 was my very first year, and I was in Gallup, New Mexico when Lippincott called me. And I think what y'all are missing, and I mean, we'll get into it, is just the prestigiousness of what the Salinas bullfights are for bullfighters. Any guy that's ever fought bulls, whether he says he's a freestyle guy or not, knows what the Salinas bullfights are, and that's just a testament of what the rodeo is and how coveted the Salinas gold is. Everybody wants to put on the Salinas buckle, but very few actually earn it. And for bullfighters, they don't really hand out gold buckles. And you have to either, one, win a world title, or two, win Salinas, and that's about it. So the list is very small to be able to put on a piece of gold. And so for a young kid that got the opportunity to get to come to Salinas, it's really a place where I started building my resume. Y'all are one of the very first ones to ever take a chance on me. So I built my career, resume, and reputation through Salinas and bullfights in general. So what you guys have done for bullfighters is, you almost can't put it into words, because guys can almost say that whether they did anything or not in their career, they can say they made it to Salinas, and somebody will at least recognize that.
Well, thank you, Weston, for those kind words, and we appreciate all that the bullfighters do while you're with us at Salinas. Obviously, it's a fan favorite, and we're very proud of it. It's the finale to our show, and people stick around to watch it. They don't get up and leave when the professional rodeo events, and they stay for the bullfights, and it's a true highlight, and it is a legacy event for us. I mean, it started as an idea on a cocktail napkin in Las Vegas. I think it was Warren Whalen and Rob Smets, and has been continuously going since 1980. So we're definitely proud of that, and we want to see it keep going forever.
Yeah, and you talk about the legacy of the bullfights. If it weren't for Salinas, the bullfights have made a resurgence in the last 10 years, but there was a spell there in 1980 when the Wrangler bullfight started, and this whole idea that I believe Sankey had to have these bullfight, or was it Sankey or Sutton that had to have these
Sutton.
bullfights? They started this tour, the Wrangler bullfights, and so you'd have the best freestyle bullfighters in the world fight the best fighting bulls in the world, and they'd bring great big crossbreds and Mexican fighting bulls and all kinds of stuff, and they had bullfights at almost all the big rodeo PRCA rodeos across the country, and then they'd have 6 rounds of bullfights at the national finals. So way back in the day, obviously, and it's still the same today, but the bulls, they got to be as famous as the bullfighters. So there was a bull called Crooked Nose, and Harry Bull told him, and he was just a treacherous, great big crossbred, and everyone just feared that bull, and he'd muck people out. Well, because he was so dangerous, the bullfighters, kind of the rule committee, went and said, hey, you can only fight that bull once during a rodeo event. So, a lot of those rodeos would have 3 perfs, 4 perfs, whatever. They only wanted to have to face Crooked Nose one time during that deal because he'd muck them out. And if these guys are running a world championship, all of a sudden they're out for the next couple rounds if they happen to draw them in the first round. So there was sort of a protest, and I want to say it happened in Fort Smith, where they were only supposed to run Crooked Nose one time. And well, they ran the first night, and the second night, they put them in the draw again. And a couple of the guys that were there, and the names escape me, and but basically as a protest, they had used to be at the end of a bullfight, you'd have a bandana, and you'd when you sold your bullfight, you'd throw your bandana. That's how the judges knew to mark your score, because you basically, in a bullfight, you've got to go, it's 60 seconds, but you got to go at least 40. Well, anytime after that 40, you can get a big finish, and then you can sell it whenever you want. So you can go 5 seconds after the 40 or 20 seconds after the 40. But either way, when you were done, so the judges knew you were done, you'd throw your bandana. Well, what those bullfighters did to take a stand against, kind of protecting their careers and their health, they walked out there and
The big finale.
Instead of
Nice
fighting
job.
their bull, they threw their bandana.
yes, and turned
there you
around
go.
and walked out. Never called for the bull. So at that point, a lot of the committees got upset, and there was a lot of repercussions from it. It ended up, it was the start of the downfall of the Wrangler bullfights, to be honest with you. So, the year after that, I believe they cut a lot of the prize money from the program. And then it wasn't but a few years later that the Wrangler bullfights ceased to exist. And so, all that being said, when the Wrangler bullfights ended, and it was the start of my career, actually, I got to go to one Wrangler bullfight in, I want to say it was 99, I guess. It would have been the first year I went to Salinas. I'm sorry, the first year I went to Salinas was 2000, I guess, because 99 was my first year I went to a Wrangler bullfight. And the following year, the bullfights ended. And so when the bullfights ended, Salinas decided that this was such a great event, meant so much to the community, that they kept it going. And they've kept it going for, 25 years since then.
45.
Totally.
Well,
Yeah.
25 since
Yeah,
it
25
almost
since they
ended,
stopped,
but yeah, we've been doing it for that long.
As an invitational,
So-
correct?
Yeah. And so there was a point where there was only Salinas and maybe 1 or 2 or 3 other big bullfights in the country, but Salinas was the biggest, the most prize money had it. It was the premier, the biggest bullfight in the country for a period of 7, 8, 10 years before the Bullfighters Only organization came around and started having events again. So, I mean, without Salinas, the sport of freestyle bullfighting would have died completely.
I couldn't agree more. So whether y'all know it or not, y'all are the foundation of why bullfights are still around.
Yeah, that
good
is
to hear.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's why our directors
good to
would
hear.
walk around trying to book acts or, you know, get the next bullfighters or see who was out there, and you all were anxious to meet
Yeah,
them.
everybody,
Yeah.
we'd come walking through down there in Las Vegas, and everybody stands up and gets a little bit closer to the aisle, all these guys, as we walk through. But no, we have a pretty good group that we've been sticking with the last couple of years, and there's been a change here and there due to injury, but for the most part, we've got the best of the best, and
And
that's
it's still
the way
an
we like it.
invitational.
Yeah, it's still invitation only. Yeah.
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 And like, so that being an invitational, Weston, when you got the call to fight, like you said, you remember it, but what was your reaction? I mean, did you mute the
Fuck
phone
yeah.
and jump up and down?
I was so pumped. I mean, I can still remember my hair standing up on the back of my neck. You know, just I was 20.
You were
I don't know,
pre-beard. I think you
yeah,
were pre-beard.
I had a mustache. So I think I was 23 or 24. Like I just started fighting bulls, really. I shouldn't say I just started. I was really starting to understand what fighting bulls at a high level meant. Like I'm still learning today. Just being a kid so young in his not even a career yet, getting the opportunity to go to such a prestigious rodeo, it was like it was the reassurance of like I can do this. Like if they're willing to put their trust in me, like I know I can do this and take this to new heights. So it was the reassurance for me of knowing that, one, I was capable of doing it, but two, knowing that, you know, just the possibilities are endless. If I can make it to Salinas right now, what else can I do?
Well, you've done a lot since you first started coming to Salinas. I mean, poor time.
It took a few more years, but
You're getting there. One day.
yeah, that's right.
What about
I'm
you,
still
Andy?
trying.
How'd your invite work? Or, you know, did you get a call? Did you get what happened? How'd you get invited to Salinas?
Well, and you were also like similar to that age, right?
Yeah, 20, what was I, 24 maybe? 20, yeah, 23, 24, somewhere around there. Uh, man, I was so wet behind the ears. It was my first year. I think it was my first year out in Las Vegas, to go to what we call the Shark Tank. Like Matt was saying, you know, those committees walk through there, and everybody, all these bullfighters, there's only so many jobs out there, so they're all after the committees to get them. I was fortunate. I grew up in Michigan, and Ryan Rodriguez, who
Oh,
also,
I remember him.
so, and it's funny, and you'll find this kind of works with clowns this way. I don't know if you ever noticed, like every now and again, like or not every now and again, but there's kind of a stage where like the comedian, the hot comedian, you know, it was Chris Tucker and then Chris Rock, and then you know, I mean, it goes back to when it was John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, but they're always somebody coming off of Saturday Night Live, and next thing you know, he's in 25 different movies, and you know, he's got his own comedy special, and it kind of works the same with rodeo clowns, right? So every few years a new guy will come and he's the guy, and so all these committees hire him, and then there's a few years where he's got all the big rodeos, and then there's some guys that they stand the test of time, but to be the it guy that year, and then you end up working the NFR, that's kind of where Rodriguez was. Like he just happened to be the it guy that year, and we were friends. And it's sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. So he happened to have the rodeo at Salinas. He'd had the rodeo at Salinas. He had it for 2 years. So he had it the year before. And then my first year at Vegas, which would have been 99, and they were booking for 2000. Committee come by and to, you know, talk to him and say hi, because they'd already had to sign a 2-year contract with him. And I can't remember if I was sharing a booth with him or I had a booth right next to him. And of course, your buddies take care of you. And Ryan was like, man, you guys, forget all these old guys. You got fighting bulls. You got to have this kid right here. And so Benny Jefferson and the guys came over and talked to me. And at the time, now everybody, this is, I'm going to age myself, this is ancient, right? So at the time, This is before internet and cell phones weren't really that big a thing back then, and you couldn't have video. You didn't have phones with video even, right? We had VHS tape. And that was a rarity. Like we used to go to the convention, and people would have a table and they'd have pictures like in frames sitting out on their table. And that's how they would show this is what I've done, right? Well, I thought I was the young new thing here and technologically advanced at the time. I made a VHS, edited a VHS tape and uh had with music behind it, basically made a highlight video and had enough freestyle stuff on there that I was able to show those guys. It took was Ryan getting them over the booth, and I was able to show them that video, and from there they shoot. 5 minutes later, I signed a contract with them. That was the first big contract I'd ever signed. I mean, that was the first contract I ever signed on a piece of paper. I spent my rookie year, I worked for Jim Zinser for J Bar J, and that is basically where I learned to freestyle because all he owned were crossbred Brendel, mean swamp fighting bulls that he got from Gerald Smith down at the sale in Texarkana every year. And so like every one of those suckers was big and mean and fast. And so I learned to fight bulls, cowboy protection on those, we had to freestyle anyway. And so that kind of helped me out. And I was able to get some video together of stuff I did. And like I said, the guy saw me and signed me and the rest was history. And I've been there ever since. But that was the first contract I ever signed on a piece of paper. Like I said, my job for Zinser was a little different. It was you want to come fight bulls for me? There wasn't a contract. It was just a, handshake deal. Here's a schedule, be there kind of thing. But this is the first big rodeo I'd ever booked.
Wow. So you touched on a lot of bulls, and you were talking about that bull before. That's part of something that makes Salinas kind of legendary too, right? The bloodlines that have been coming to Salinas. Can Matt or anybody talk a little bit more about that? Like, I've heard that those are still out there, still fighting.
Yeah. So I mean, from my early days, the Borba bulls were always stellar. I mean, you hear everybody talk about it, from going over when I was younger, going over there to the ranch and seeing them, looking docile out in the field, and we'd run around there with Clarence in the pickup, and I'd think, oh man, these things aren't, they're not that mean. And then next thing you know, he'd get them up and get them moving around, and we'd be in the pickup out there in the middle of the field, and they were surrounding the pickup, taking shots at the truck. And I was like, okay, yeah, these are mean bulls, and, but yeah, no, just that whole relationship with the Borbas and, Frank Borba, he really loved the California Rodeo, and he loved to bring his bulls over to the rodeo. And, he used to always tell us, he says, I'm going to bring you the best of the best. He says, and he'd say, I want my bulls to get these guys down, but I don't want them to hurt them. Like that was kind of his thought. He loved the sport. He loved the bulls. Of course, he did all of his bullfights back there in the valley. And, but yeah, that bloodline is something that's been sought after for years and has really kept the sport going.
Well, and Salinas has a Hall of Fame that we started at our centennial 16 years ago, and the Borba family's in it, just for the contributions that they made by doing that consistently and contributing to this legacy premier event that we love.
Yeah, I believe those were some of the original. That bloodline was some of the original fighting bulls that were brought over here from, Portugal. I mean, 100 years ago when they were just raising cattle over here. That when California was still, a Spanish colony before it was even a state. Those bloodlines were here, and it was the Borba families. That bloodline's been here since then. And the majority of the Mexican fighting bulls that you see, or the Spanish fighting bulls that you see that are in the States now, will go back to those a lot of them will go back to those bloodlines.
What are the bulls look like now versus then in comparison? Like the fighting bulls as a contestant, as a bullfighter.
That'd be a Burelle question. He's seen them
Uh,
both.
so the biggest difference is when we had the Wrangler bullfights, those bulls got hauled every week to a different. They had so many trips on them, and so they just got smarter, and they just got harder and harder and harder to fight. You know, the first time you fight a bull, you go out there and you'll throw a fake on him. You know, he's going to take that fake, move over. You'll be able to get around him, and it's part of the main reason that the Spanish and the Portuguese, they typically won't fight a bull more than once, because they say that bull's dirty after that, because once he's seen your tricks, he learns that if you step to the left, well, you're going to jump back to the right. So he's going to, after he's seen that once or twice, he's going to start meeting you at the right. Right. So the bulls back in, the 2000, and they were the holdovers from the Wrangler bullfights at the end of that tour. Those bulls have been fought so many times. They were big and stout, but they were very, very smart. Now we take a little more care not to run a bull into the ground. So most of our bulls, these contractors these days, even though we've got the bullfighters only and the freestyle tour and stuff, we have events, but we're not having, we're having 10 or 15 marquee events a year that we bring bulls to. We're not having, I don't know how many rodeos had bullfights during the Wrangler bullfights, but I know there were a bunch. Like, I mean, all those guys were going to, they had 30 rounds of bullfights. I mean, I bet there were 50 or 60 rodeos in the country having freestyle bullfights as one of their events, right? Well, when you've got a limited breeding pool of bulls and you're hauling those bulls up and down there and they're fighting every week, they just get smart. Where nowadays these guys, they don't wear those bulls out. They may fight them 3-4 times a year. Same as you kind of find the same thing with the really good bucking bull bloodlines. Like, they'll only buck those bulls so many times in a year. Sorry about that. They'll only buck those bulls so many times in a year, because they want longevity. They want them to perform every single time. So now we've got these bulls that when these guys see them, they're fresher. They may end up with 3 or 4 outs on them, and they'll fight them for a couple years, but they haven't seen every trick in the book 500 times. And the other thing about not running them up and down the road and using them that much is some of those older bulls they'd sort of slow down. They'd kind of, we call them cold trailing, right? So they would just sit there and stalk you in the arena. Well, it's kind of hard to put a move on a bull if he's not charging you and coming through, and it made them really hard to fight. Where now these bulls are fast, they're hot. It makes it a lot more exciting when that bull is coming 100 miles an hour. So now the game is speed, right? Like, if that bull is coming 100, it's a different kind of bullfight, where now you can, throw these fakes, you can jump these bulls. There's a lot of things you couldn't do with those older bulls because they didn't have the speed, the gas to them to come through and commit, where you could set them up for big moves. So the sport's changed a lot, from just guys kind of making rounds and throwing 1 or 2 fakes and going and setting up behind a barrel, because that's the only way you could fight those bulls, to now it's elevated to guys, man, mercy rolls and backflips, and they're coming up with new tricks every week. I mean, belly fakes and knee fakes, and it's pretty incredible how it's changed almost the way freestyle motocross has.
So, talking about the mean bulls and the crazy tricks, Andy, what was your craziest fight at Salinas? And I think I might remember this, but
I think I could answer it too.
Well, I don't know, somebody else answered. I don't remember much of it.
Somersault gone wrong, right?
Knocked out.
Let's hear it, Mandy. Let's hear your version and let's hear Andy's version and see how they
Well, I
match
didn't
up.
actually see it, but because they knew Andy and I were friends, somebody was calling me from the other side of the arena, and from what I understand, it was a somersault that went bad.
Yeah. So
A flip, not a somersault.
it was a backflip. So
Yeah.
and like I said, the sport's changed. So it used to be the biggest thing was out there when I showed up was Lance Britton doing a flat foot jump over bulls. That bull would come out of the chute and he'd jump straight up in the air and the bull would run underneath him. Well, I got tired of not winning bullfights, so I had to come up with something better. So I decided, well, no one's thrown a backflip over one yet. So that was the move that I invented, and I tried it at Salinas, and I'd done it before at Salinas. And man, I'd won it 2 years in a row. I'd won the buckle, and third year I was here, or I think it was the fourth year I was here, but the third year I was trying to win 3 in a row, and it was round number 3, and I was already ahead in points by, I don't know, I was 10 points ahead, something like that. You know, I was trying to open up that gap where they weren't going to catch me on Sunday no matter what. So my thought was, I'm going to go win this buckle tonight. I mean, worry about tomorrow night, right? So I went out there, you know, normally you say that big trick for the last day. I'm gonna throw this tonight and I'm going to win this right now. Well, I went out there and turned my back to that chute. Well, at the time, I didn't really think too much about whatever bull I had. I didn't care. Whatever it was, bring it. I'll try it, whatever. This bull 252 was, you know, like Matt was talking, where some of those bulls were so big they had a hard time getting them out of the trailer. I set up for this backflip, and this bull had to come out of the trailer like he didn't come out gassing. He had to come out one shoulder at a time because he wouldn't fit. He was so big. And so, and when he come out, I went to throw that backflip, and he hit me, caught my legs. I bet I did 2.5 flips, hit the ground, was out cold. I don't know how they got the bull. I didn't wake up till I was in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. And unfortunately, all it did was knock me out. It bruised my leg, but you know, basically no scored me. So there went my buckle, right? That was a lesson learned. No scored me, so there went my buckle for that year. But I get to the hospital, and George Hanson he was a track director at the time. And so he's terribly worried about me. And that's the great thing about the Salinas committee. Like, they treat you like family. So when something happened, man, everybody was, like you said, they were calling you because we were friends. Like, they're wondering if you're okay, right? Like, you're not just a number to them. So I got to the hospital when I woke up, and they were trying to put a collar back on me, and I kind of pulled it off, and I'm like, look, I'm fine. You know, I don't need a CT. I don't need a CAT scan. Just take me back to the arena. And so my wife, at the time, we were just dating, but, you know, she basically hauled me back to the arena, and I think I was gunner that day. And so by the time they had hauled me to the hospital, checked me out, and I got hauled back, and at the time we had an autograph session after, and the autograph session would last for 45 minutes anyway. So, you know, I got back, and they were still signing autographs. So I'm signing autographs. Well, George is terribly worried, so he goes over to Salinas Hospital, and
You're not there.
yeah, I'm not there. And, you know, and now our cell phones, obviously we don't have camera phones back then, but we still had, you know, cell phones. So he calls, and I'm like, hey, George, Andy, what room are you in? I can't find you. Room? I'm back at the autograph table. And he's like, what? I thought they hauled you out. I did. I came back. So I was back signing autographs the next day, or that night, and then next day, all you do is go out and be 90, and that's what I did.
Did you attempt a blindfold backflip?
Oh, yeah, that was my
That's
first
the one
year.
I was thinking of.
Fed
I
up.
forgot
Oh,
about
yeah.
the tumble.
So when you're a rookie, sometimes you think you should win, and you don't really win, and they don't know who you are. And so I was going out there making rounds and rounds and rounds of these bulls and wearing them out for 2 or 3 rounds, I guess. And I don't know. I didn't feel like I was getting rewarded for it. So this was when I was there with Rodriguez, and of course he has this great idea. He's like, they're not going to give you any credit for anything. He says, you need to do something. So he said, I know, you should blindfold yourself and call for him. Now, mind you, he's the one who told me to came up with the idea for me to throw a backflip over one too. I got to quit listening to that guy, really. But so I was like, sure, I'll do it, whatever. He's like, you don't worry, I'll stand behind you. I'll set the barrel up behind you, and I'll just tell you when he's gonna get there. So we did it. We went over and found some, some piece of I don't know, black fabric. We went over to what is it, Joanne Fabrics. They give me some black fabric to make a blindfold out of. And so that night, we went up and told the announcers, and Will and Wayne, and I was like, you need to get everybody to be quiet because I got to be able to hear them because I got to be able to hear Rodriguez because I'm going to blindfold myself. And they were basically like, you going to do what? And so, yeah. And it was actually one of the neatest things ever, I tell you, because there are 20,000 people in those stands. And when I walked out of there to call for that bull, you could have heard a pin drop. They were dead. They called for silence. They gave me dead silence. And I put that blindfold on, and Brian lined up behind me, and I called for that bull. And, and you hear Ryan saying, I'd backed up quite a ways. And he's like, 15 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet now. And as soon as he said now, I stepped to the side. And at that point, once I made that first move by the head, I could hear that bull, and you could hear him just, it was so quiet, and I could hear it. I could hear his feet in the sand, and I could hear him breathing and feel him on the back of my hand breathing. And I just went to making rounds because that's all I did. I just kind of turned my shoulder and started sucking it around the corner, and I probably made 2 or 3 rounds with them. And at that point I was like, okay, that's enough, and pulled the blindfold off and went on to finish the bullfight. And I still didn't win the round, but whatever.
Is there footage of that? Because that'd be really fun to share.
We need to look for it. It's probably on VHS tape.
Yeah. Maybe we can edit that.
Somebody's
find the video
attic somewhere.
Yeah. Weston, what about you? Like, best fight, best memory, craziest fight at Salinas?
Me or him?
Weston.
Oh, best fight. I don't know. I've been going there so long. I've had a lot of really good bullfights, but I think the one I remember the most is when I finally knew that I won it. If obviously, or follow my career, like Salinas was the monkey on my back. I have won more world titles than I have won Salinas buckles. Yeah. It took me total 11 years to win it. 10 actual because we missed the year with COVID. But yeah, from 2014 to 2023 is the year I actually won it. But I can remember I've gotten second place there, I think 6 times, and a couple of them only being by a point. Like my very first year, I got second by 1 point, and then I got second like 3 or 4 years in a row, and then fought like crap for a couple of years, and then back and forth, but I just could never close it out. And then in 23, like was fighting bulls good. I'd won 2 or 3 rounds. I can't remember, but going into the last day, I knew like I'd always had a shot, but it was the best opportunity I'd had. And I was like, look, you've been here so many times and not closed it out. But there was something about that bull. Like he was a big, big blue bull where a lot of the guys didn't want him, but I knew I needed my style. I have to have something coming to be at my best. And a lot of times I need a bull with a little more weight so they can take some of the heavy fakes that I throw. And I got that big blue. I'd wanted him all week. He's standing in the back, and he just the way he looked and the way he was alert, like I could tell, like he knew his job. And when he came out, we just there was one of those moments of Burelle can attest to this. It's like after about that second pass, like I've got his number, and like you can see him, you can see how he's moving, you can almost just predict everything he's fixing to do, and in that moment, like it's so calm, it's so quiet, and then as you're engaged with that animal, like it's so much peace. It's hard to really describe, but throughout that bullfight, like I just knew I was like, today's the day. Today's the day. And then as I was finishing out that bullfight, in bullfights, and especially in Salinas, you can't leave anything to the judges or else there's a possibility you'll lose. So I was like, I have to finish this bullfight. So I was lining him up and he kind of stalked for just a second in that corner. And then I was like, look, you got to go. If you want to ever win this buckle, you can't bow down, whether he's in the fence or not. And I remember looking right at him, and Burrell's right there in the corner. And if you're in the pen and you know Burrell's in the corner, you're all right. So I was like, shit on it. Here we go. Burrell saved me. Literally ran right at him, jumped him, went up the fence, and Burrell was right there in the corner. I looked at him and excused my finish. I was like, I finally fucking did it. Like, finally. And because I knew I had a good chance of winning, but I had to go finish it. And there had been so many times that I hadn't, or I'd slipped or whatever. And it was just that moment of like, finally. And I mean, it was like the biggest weight taken off and was running around, was like, so this is what it feels like to win Salinas, because I don't know what this feels like.
And then you got tackled.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a question about the tackling. Like the winners get tackled. When did that start? Because that's a tradition now, but who started that? How did it come about?
That was from the so when the bullfights ended, like I said, there were only a few out there. Salinas was the big money one. The other big event in the country was in Ada, Oklahoma. And I'm not sure why it was that way, or why they started it there, but that's where it started. Like when you won the event, I have no idea why we started the dog pile, and it's been kind of a tradition ever since that whoever wins the event, you find somebody to hold your stuff because you're going to get tackled.
Yeah.
So,
Get rid of your hat so don't get crushed.
yeah.
Yeah. Pork Chop came out there and gave me a big old hug, and the dog pile hadn't happened yet. And I wasn't even, not even thinking about it. Old Pork Chop just threw me down. I was like, of all the people. I mean, obviously I can't fight back. Pork Chop's a big human, so I was like, whatever.
Well, they don't call him Pork Chop for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, that's a good end. What about now? The guy who loses, what happens to him?
So it's not the guy that loses.
Oh, okay.
It's
What's
the rookie.
The rookie.
It's the rookie.
Okay.
Because remember they do it on like Tuesday.
Me, Harp, and Emerson started it. We stay out at Butch and Biv's out of town, and so we're all at the kind of a bullfighter compound south of town. And if you're a rookie, you had to get a haircut, and it was not the haircut you wanted. It was whoever was holding the blade. So we all lined up, and I was thankful that they gave me a mohawk. Harp had some kind of dumb racing tracks on the side, and we put a bowl on top of Lippincot's head and gave him a bowl cut. No, we didn't. We gave him the reverse bowl cut. We gave him the cold cul-de-sac. We just cut out the middle and made him look bald. And so ever since we've just, if you're the new guy, yeah, welcome to Salinas. Congrats. Here's your big opportunity, but you got to look like an idiot doing it.
Yeah. No reason to get a haircut to come to Salinas. If
No,
you're the rookie,
so Mansell got a bowl cut. And then last year, Coy Kraut, who's got just the sweetest, kindest soul. I call him Squints off Sandlot. He's always smiling. He's got glasses, and beautiful hair, so we
I
decided
know.
to ruin it.
So do
So
they,
he's young enough that it grew back.
Do they know before they get
That's what
there,
I
or
was
is it
gonna
like
say.
a secret?
We don't warn them until they're sitting there, and it's like, this is part of it.
Yeah.
well, now they're gonna know. What if we can't get any bullfighters, any new
I
bullfighters?
promise you, they will take the haircut over not coming to Salinas.
If any of them have a half bit of sense, they'll buzz their head before they show up.
Oh, true.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's
True.
a fact.
Then you'll just have to think of something else, like paint a mustache on them, or they have to get
Oh,
a tattoo.
We made Alex wear face paint, which he never wears it ever. So we made him look pretty dumb in the arena. So some guys you can hold down, other guys, it's like, yeah, we'll just let that one slide. We'll come up with something else.
So we're a 4-day bullfight. You fight one every day. Is that more than most places? Like, how's that in comparison to other rodeo, or not other rodeos, but other shows that you're in events you're going to? Like,
It's the only one. The only thing close to it was our World Championships this year. We fought 3 days in a row, but the possibility of fighting 4 bulls, 2 on the last day. But Salinas is the only one where it's 4 consecutive. So there's a lot that plays into it. Luckily, the way y'all structure it, it's kind of younger bulls at the beginning, and then the bulls get older as it goes on, which helps the guys' longevity of it, because like Burelle was saying, the younger bulls, you can get away with more things, and the risk of getting caught is less. But come Saturday and Sunday, that risk is no longer the same, and you're running on 2 days of already fighting bulls. So if you got bumped or got caught, like, you're already sold up. But that's what's cool about it, is like, not just anybody can walk in there and win it. You have to be in shape. Like, that's the easy factor, but what between your ears is what sets you apart from a lot of them. And Burelle knows better than anybody. There are so many guys that are beat before they even show up because they're so worried about what bull they have or what they got. Now you're going to add on 4 days in a row of it. Like, there's a lot of guys that just can't handle the stress of it. And whether they admit it or not, it's just the truth.
so your physical abilities, but you're like the mental game of it is huge.
Way bigger than your physical. The physical is the easy part.
Well, yeah, that's a big difference, right? Or maybe it's not, but training now versus training then, what's that look like? Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, we know Weston's
How
all
many
about.
brands?
When I
How
did
did
my
you
first
train,
bull
Andy?
fight,
Difference.
I watched Lance Britton walk out into the arena while he was smoking a cigarette.
Yes.
So there was no
And-
training.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Drop the cigarette on the ground, put it out with his foot, and then call for his bull. And proceeded to be in the high 80s and flat foot him after that. Like, it was incredible. But yeah, there's it's changed a bunch. It has changed a bunch.
Probably for the better.
Right? Super athletic. You're ready for it.
And
Hopefully
I
staying
think-
safer.
Wasn't it just a couple of years ago? Austin Ashley, he mimicked that, right?
Yeah, did
Oh,
a
that's
did a
right.
tribute to
He
Lance.
did a tribute to him. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Double A has got a little bit of that old school in him. So he still definitely works out, trains for it, but he is young, very, very good, but he's got a little of that old school in him too. So that's what's cool about him, is he's a blend of both worlds, where he'll have just as much fun with you as you want, but he also takes care of business as well.
So I think part of the unique training at Salinas might be staying hydrated with the Benny blasters.
Pre-rodeo, pre-perf, Benny Blaster,
It's post rodeo.
Post rodeo.
post-rodeo.
The pre-bennies, I know Toby Inman, Ross Hill. I'm sure Double A's piled off in a few of them. I have before as well. Not enough to ever affect, but sometimes it's just like, shit on it. We're in Salinas. Like, what would the old cats do?
Right? So
So
just
there-
a little history. Benny is one of our past presidents. He's always been on the bullfight committee. He's family to Matt and his family. They're not related by blood, but even closer. And he has a specialty cocktail, the Benny Blaster, and it's pink because it's pink lemonade, vodka, and Hawaiian punch. And I mean, again, like the bullfighters that want to fight at Salinas, you come to the cocktail party and you drink a Benny Blaster, because if you don't, you're probably not going to be invited, right?
Yeah, or you're not coming back.
Or you're not,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can think of how many times I drink that drink throughout the year.
Yeah.
And it is
Twice.
It is once in Vegas and once and every day in Salinas. Outside of that is way too much sugar.
Right? Yeah. That's one of the infamous things unique things about Salinas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of
very
people know
unique.
about it, though, surprisingly.
So we've talked to Matt, like obviously your dad, you've been involved, you've been helping, but what is your role during the bullfights? Like, what do you do during the bullfights? Because you're involved.
Yeah. So I help with I help with the logistics as far as setting up our new alley that Andy had talked about. But
Wait, before you keep going, the new alley, we have to touch on that too. That was your dad's big.
yeah. So that
big
was his
dream.
big idea. Is we had as Andy touched on, we had a lot of issues getting the bulls out of the arena. So he came up with this idea of creating or building another flying gate and creating an alley to keep the bulls in the alley, and it made a world of difference, and it made everything safer for everyone. Even as far as just all the way around, it made it safer, keeping them contained.
So, like I'm sure he called both of you. He'd come to the office and draw on a piece of paper his idea. I mean,
what
probably
he
for
wanted.
months, maybe a year before it actually came to fruition. But he knew it was going to work. And I know he talked to all the guys because he wanted their input. You guys worked on it. And it's worked. It's been really good.
Yeah. And then so back to what I do during the fight is I've ran the outgate for probably about the last 20 plus years. And that was fun. It's still fun for me, right? But now I spend a little more time on the outside of the fence versus inside of the fence. But yeah, no, I love it. It's been something that I've done for years, and it's an adrenaline rush. I mean, you can't stand out there in front of one of those, and I have the fence that I'm going to, right? But it's still
Have you had any close calls, like when they used to turn the bulls out in the arena? And
yes. Yes. Yeah.
Have you ever peed your pants?
So the worst. No pee. But the closest one I had was with when we used to turn them out into the arena. Is all the bulls that we had previously turned out were already in the arena. So we, believe it or not, we have guys up on the fence like spotting for us, letting us know so we can keep an eye on the fights. And the closest one I had was probably opening the gate, and it was one of Ross's fights, and he, of course, helped get the bull out of the arena, but the gate, we would grab the end of the gate and turn back to the fence, right, to get away from him, and Ross kind of, I don't want to say cut in front of me, right, and used the fence to get back, and kind of left me hanging there for a sec, and that bull turned right back and came right back at it, and I'd never got up on top of a fence as fast as I did that time, because it was close. Yeah. But yeah, definitely adrenaline rush for sure.
Well, you and your brother, I've seen you jump where your feet are up in the air because you're just
Oh,
getting out of the way.
Yeah. It's a good time. It's wild. I love it.
Yeah, wildly enough that y'all were still letting them out when I started coming into the big pen. It wasn't until probably 21 when we started doing that.
Yeah, I think so. It's probably.
I believe we hooked a committee man or something like that off a horse at some point, and that's what we decided. Well, we better change something.
Yeah.
We're always looking to improve things. Just takes us a while sometimes.
And I know we talked about, for people out there listening, if you've never been to Salinas, the reason this is such a big deal, these flying gates in this bull trailer, is because Salinas is different than any other rodeo you're ever going to go to. So you normally go to a rodeo and there's one rodeo arena and one event goes on at a time, right? Salinas is the only rodeo I've been to where it's almost like going to, if you go to a circus and there's more than one ring and they have two things going on at once. So we will run at Salinas. They will run the steer wrestling and barrel racing at the same time, the bull riding or the bull riding and the barrel racing, or there's always two events. There's something going on at on the track and in the arena at the very same time. That's how big the rodeo grounds are there and how many stands there are. And so that the announcers are two announcers and they're announcing two different events. So they'll have a steer run and they'll announce him and then they'll stop and then they'll run a barrel horse, or they'll buck a bucking horse and then they'll do part of a joke for a clown act that's on the track. So they have the track going on and the arena going on all at the same time, all the way up until the bullfights. Obviously, with the fighting bulls, you can't have two things going on at once. But that's where all these logistics come in. Is the arena is so big, they couldn't put the bulls out do the fighting bulls out in the arena because the arena is so big. I mean, this is like 2 football fields out there. You would never be able to get them tracked to where you could fight them. The arena is just that big. So it'd be hard to get a bullfight put together. You want to have a bullfight in a small enclosed pen, like we do on a track. So the idea for this, having it on the track, was the track is only, I don't know, what is it, 60 foot wide, 70 foot wide,
90,
something like that.
90
I
feet
would
wide.
say I bet it's 80.
90 feet. It's 90 feet. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's smaller on the width. And so all they needed to do, the guys that came up with this bull trailer idea, was, well, it's narrow enough. We just got to shorten it on each end instead of trying to come out with this great big fence building crew and try and build fence around the buck and shoots and then no one can really see. Instead, their idea was to put this bullfight right on the track in front of the main grandstand. And the way they did that was with these crazy inventions of a flying gate that they could pull. It's almost on wheels, and it is pneumatic or hydraulic, and it unfolds as they pull it in there next to the track. And it unfolds and cuts off the track.
Yeah.
Well, the next problem you run into is there's no alleyways or chutes. So how, you can't run the bulls out of the buck and chutes like they did back in the day. So what do? So to get the bulls out to the track, they came up with this idea of a bull trailer. And it's where the shotgun chute got its start. So most of the Wrangler bullfights, they would run the bull into a buck and chute and they'd open the gate and that bull would kind of follow the gate around and then he'd turn around and look at you and then come to you. Well, when these guys designed this trailer, they wanted to load all the bulls on the trailer and then have one chute. Well, to do that, the trailer has a kind of a U shape where they can load them in one end. And so the first bull that comes out is, the first one they load, the gate to get out is on that side, but they're stacked in there space-wise. They have to be facing forward. So that's where the shotgun chute with bullfights came from, was this bull trailer, because when they open that gate, they're standing and looking right at you instead of standing sideways and turning and following the gate man around or anything else, which changed the way we start bulls during a bullfight, because now this bull comes out, unless the shoulders are stuck, he'll come out 100 miles an hour when he clears that gate, and he's looking right at that bullfighter that's standing out there calling for him. So there's no delay where he's running down a fence or anything like that. And it changed the way the action happens. And now all freestyle bullfights have a shotgun chute. And it's because of that bull trailer that they invented, because the only way to have a bullfight at Salinas was to have it on the track. And so these guys are these farm guys that deal with equipment and welders and all that stuff. They came up with all this stuff and drew it up on cocktail napkins while they were drinking Benny Blasters. And it has changed our sport.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I've learned from talking to you guys today. We appreciate you being on here. One thing, if you are watching or listening and you want to see the freestyle bullfights, you actually need to buy a ticket and come to the rodeo, because it's not part of our TV broadcast, but it's the finale to our event. Like Andy said, all the events are done in the arena so we can do the setup and logistics, and then it goes after. And then that's the end of our show when the bullfights end.
It's like 1980s pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta pay and show up to watch that part.
Old school.
Yeah, I think it's important to touch on, too, with it being at the end of the show, is you can look at those main grandstands all rodeo long, and they look, half full, 3/4 full, and then the second that it's time for bullfights, and everybody sees that transformation of the track. I mean, you look up and they're full, and there's still people piling in trying to watch it.
It
It's
is so
definitely
crazy that they
the
run all
hype.
those events and it's the bull riding and everything else. And they'll mill around and shop and go to the sponsor tent or be, anywhere on that rodeo grounds doing, seeing the vendors and doing all the other things. But when that bullfight starts, when those fireworks go off and they know the bullfights are starting, everybody drops what they're doing and they go they go to those
They come
grandstands
out of the
and watch.
woodworks. Yeah.
The YMCA and fireworks are their cue.
Yeah.
Right. I know we don't know exactly how that YMCA started, but Weston, you're still
I
fighting,
think
so
it
you
was
don't
Tom
do it.
Pettit.
You think it was Tom
It was
Pettit,
Tom
one of our
Pettit,
past
I believe.
presidents?
Yeah,
It's
that's what I
unique.
remember.
Unique to Salinas. I mean, we
Yeah.
have produce mascots racing on the track, and then we have the YMCA, and now Andy gets up there with the queens and everybody else and does the YMCA on the fence before the bullfight.
Yeah,
So
and
that
it's
takes up some of the
become
time
it's become a tradition,
for the
yeah.
setup. Yeah, so it's a big
Yeah.
tradition. It's fun, but definitely unique.
Well, we didn't
to
really
us.
talk about. So, Andy, you're still there 25 years later, but you're not fighting bulls. You're in the barrel now, protecting
Yeah.
the bullfighters. Do you want to touch on that?
Uh,
Like, when did you decide you were done fighting bulls? When was that transition?
oh, about the time, gosh,
He was still working the extreme bulls when I was coming out there to enter the bullfights.
yeah,
Protection, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think when the year my son was born, was when we started slowing down on the bullfights. I think is the freestyle. I was still doing some protection at the time. I think I tore my knee up at Fort Worth my last year and decided, now I'd quit the freestyle long before that. I got to a point where I think I won the one in Oklahoma, the last one, and then I came to Salinas one last time. And I could see the writing on the wall, like if I wasn't going to be able to win first, there ain't no point in it for me. And the last one I'd won, the last big one I'd won, world championship, I guess, or big event I'd won was, I beat those young guys, but I only beat them because they weren't smart enough to beat me. I knew it'd take them a year or two at most. They were figuring it out. And I'm like, yeah, they're going to come back and they're just snappier, quicker, faster. They got more, they got better moves at that point. And you realize, I better hang it up before, I'm going to go out winning instead of go out losing. Hate to be one of those, like the old quarterback that's so washed up that, he gets traded to another team for one more year and he shouldn't, with the exception of Brady. I'd rather go out with winning. So that's when I quit fighting bulls. And at the time I'd kind of been planning on it. And so I started working the barrel and clowning and knowing that I couldn't fight bulls forever. And so as I made that transition and I'd been here so long that and had worked the barrel during the bullfights at other events, I kind of slid right into the job and
And
been
now
here
you have
ever
a 40-foot billboard on the barn
yeah.
at the California Rodeo grounds.
And they're nice enough to clean the bird poop off of it every year before I get here.
It's on
Yeah,
the list.
anybody-
It's on the checklist, Andy. Clean bird
We tell
poop.
people, turn where you see the giant clown on the wall. Weston,
But
what's
I
the...
guess to get back to the point, my job as a barrelman now, where I'm not actually competing anymore. During bull riding, these bullfighters like Weston, when they're working the bulls during a rodeo or during bull riding, their job is to go out there and protect the bull riders. Basically, as a barrelman during the bullfights, my job is to go out there and protect them. So, thing about fighting bulls is once they get somebody down, they're going to sit there and camp on them until, the worst happens. And you can't really go even get them off them a lot of times without, you can't say, hey, and they're going to come to you most of the time. You've got to physically once they got something down, you got to physically make some big contact with them. Well, when I've got that barrel, it's aluminum clown barrel, it's got padding around it or whatever, and I've got handles in it. I can pick that thing up and walk that barrel right into those bulls and slam it into them, get their attention. Now I drop down in there, and then they can roll me off. It gives that guy a chance to get up. So basically I've got a little, armored personnel carrier that I walk in there with and can hopefully pull them out of the fire.
It probably really helps too that you fought bulls for so long and you have that instinct and the knowledge of how things kind of go in there, huh? To be in the barrel helping them.
Yeah, and it's a lot like working a bull riding. Like it's a lot about positioning, right? Like so during a bull riding, you'll watch these bullfighters and they're real sneaky about working a bucking bull when he's bucking, and they kind of move themselves into a spot so that when a rider does come off, they've only got to make 1 or 2 steps to get there. Now you do that in the freestyle bullfights, but it's like tenfold harder because bucking bulls, when they're bucking, as long as you're not really trying to get their attention, typically they're not going to jump out of it. They're not going to see you. They're not going to come to you. A fighting bull is way different. Like they see movement and they will take off and run across a pasture to go hit something. So you have to take that same sneaking around that you did when you were protecting cowboys during bull riding and become a ninja. Like with the fighting bulls, to move and get yourself in position and slide down a fence line and make sure that bull does not see you moving. It's something, like I said, is years of fighting bulls has helped me do that. But I mean, sometimes that bull will come and he'll come by you and I'm in that barrel. Well, I got to keep my head up so I can see what's going on. If you got your head up and he comes by that barrel, if you drop to go down to get your hold or whatever, he'll see that, right? And then he's going to hit you for sure. So sometimes you just got to stand there and hold your breath. Don't blink your eyes and hope he doesn't see anything move because he'll think you're part of the fence if he comes by. And I've had them where they'll come by and their horns are right here. And as long as don't make a sound, don't make a peep, and don't move a muscle, they'll go right on by and go back. Because the last thing you want to do is have in the middle of a guy's bullfight is have a bull come see you and start hooking the barrel. They've only got 40 seconds, right? Well, if that bull spends 15 of it hooking me, I just screwed a guy out of a paycheck, out of a buckle. So try and be very, very careful and cautious of how I do my job to never cost a guy money, but also be there for him because I know he's got to work the rest of the year after this bullfight to go to the next one or to the next rodeo and make sure he doesn't get hurt while he's out there. So it's kind of 2 things you're trying to do at once.
Well, anything else that we didn't bring up that you guys wanted to mention about the Salinas freestyle bullfights? All 3 of you? Anybody?
I've got a question for Weston. 2 questions. So,
No,
we're kind of at the beginning of the year. So, goals for this year, obviously, you want to win Salinas again, shooting for 5-time BFO world champion this year. You got hurt at the finals. What other big goals, big rodeos, big wins you're looking at?
I'm still chasing the elusive 5th. I am getting older, but I don't feel like I've really lost a step necessarily speed wise, but I am losing the recovery of when I get caught. I did get caught in Vegas. It looked gross. It looked awful, but in reality, man, I'm so fortunate. God was looking out for me. I can't even explain it.
Put a hole in your leg.
I was less than inches away from my artery. I had a massive hole and it ended up just being skin and fat. Didn't get any muscle, didn't get anything. I didn't require any surgery. It took me a solid 3 weeks to even start being able to walk without a limp. And now I'm right at 4 weeks and I'm running, cutting, turning, all that. So very fortunate. But injuries are just part of it. And if you watch that bullfight back, I've been run over so much worse throughout my career. and sometimes they just get you just right. It's just part of our game. But to touch on what the goals are is like, obviously, yeah, chasing my 5th world title, trying to win Salinas again. And whatever God has in store for me, I'm at that point in my career where I'm still working every day to keep up with the young cats and to prove that I still belong. But also at that point in my career where I'm starting to enjoy it more, looking at it as an aspect of, I get to do this, I don't have to do it. And there was years where it was, like you get lost and kind of just turn into a robot, but more so turning into more of a thankful perspective of how long I've got to do it, and very fortunate to still get to do it at a high level.
I think that applies to everything in life, right? That's a good life lesson, Weston.
Took me a few years.
Well, we're excited that you're coming back to Salinas. Obviously, we hope you draw good and fight good and have the best chance to win that buckle again. And Andy, can't wait to see you back in Salinas too. 3rd Thursday in July.
I'll be there.
It's the California Rodeo.
Yeah, how long till you think you'll never know that song? Like it's burned into our brains forever, Saddle Up Salinas.
Oh, man, I don't know. Anytime I see Ed Money Mustache Montana, that's the only thing I think of.
Shout out to Ed. That's our signature song he wrote for us.
Yeah. Yeah, that and the rap, I don't know that I'll ever forget. Even when I'm not fighting bulls, I'll still find a way to come out there one way or another.
I already got a plan.
I damn sure won't be in the barrel.
I got a plan. As soon as I'm too old for that barrel, I'm just gonna start singing.
There you go.
I'll come out and do Ed's job.
Keep showing up long enough, maybe you'll be the next billboard on the barn.
Come out and drive a tractor.
How long do I have to be there until I get a 20-foot cut out?
Well, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
I don't want one. Y'all don't need one of me. Put one of Ross before you do anybody else.
Oh, man, I feel like we didn't touch on that. I feel like we can't talk about the Salinas bullfights without talking about Ross Hill, the Alabama Slammer.
Ross is Salinas, and Salinas is Ross, even though he didn't live there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a native, not.
You would have
he was a native, but not a resident.
With everybody.
He knew everybody.
Yeah, he became friends with everybody. He definitely quickly became part of the family. And we all miss him. And yeah, we were able to have him on one of our posters, which was really cool. Yeah, we think about him all the time.
Oh man, his signature sport coat, his cowboy hat, his Coca-Cola cup, right? Like in his tennis shoes. That was him walking around.
But like he never had a bad day.
No.
That was what was fun having Ross around. Like no matter who, even when he lost, I don't think he had a bad day. He just kind of turned it off and kept smiling and having a good time and made everybody else around him. Like, it was fun.
The kids loved him, and he interacted with everyone. Yeah, great.
He probably taught both you guys how to fight bulls, though. Yeah.
Who, Ross?
He would say that.
I'll tell you what, man. I cannot remember a single time that Ross Hill wasn't around that we didn't have fun though. Like I've been a lot of places and done a lot of things and been to a lot of rodeos, and sometimes it's work, sometimes it's not, but man, if Ross was there, it was I mean, just what can I get a hot tub? That's all he did. You know what I mean? Like it was just always a party with Ross. It was that guy lived life to the fullest, man.
One year, the first year we did the Howdy Code, and so there's like 10 principles of the Howdy Code. We printed him a badge, and on the back of it had the 10 principles. So he ran around all week telling everybody, hey, do you know principle number 1? Do you know, or telling everybody about it, trying to get him on the Howdy Code. Like, he just embodied being in Salinas. Like, he just loved it. We loved having him.
Yeah, and he was a jokester. One time at the cocktail party in Las Vegas, he tried to steal like a bowl that we had snacks in, and I had to chase him down to the elevator, practically tackle him. He thought it was super funny.
Yep. That's him.
Yeah.
Good times.
Nothing was too serious for him.
No. Another good life lesson, right? Live every day.
Absolutely. Well, I think. Do you guys have anything else?
No, thanks for having
us. Your podcast.
But we told you we don't know what we're doing yet.
Check with us in a couple of months. Maybe we'll know what we're doing.
New year, new things. You know, we're going to do this Salinas podcast, try to, you know, teach people what we do besides what they might see. You know, some of the behind the scenes stuff. Obviously, freestyle bullfights was top of the list because that is, like you said, we've kept it going. It's something that the crowd loves, the industry loves, and needed us to continue doing it. And we're super proud of it, but we're really happy to get both of your perspectives and Matt. And I mean, we probably could have talked for another hour, but we're gonna let you go.
If anybody wants
one
to,
last thing that we didn't touch on that I think we need to is, I think the people of Salinas need to know how much Butch and Viv and them mean to us. Like, they put us up for the entire week. We don't pay for anything. They have a huge welcome party. It's like the bullfights don't even start till Thursday, but the welcome party's on Tuesday. Everybody's there. It is very much just an open door policy to them. Like, you don't get that anywhere else. Rodeo wise, you meet people, make connections and all that, and you can crash on a couch here and there. But whether it's the dude or Butch, they call me once a week. Literally, I have to screen Mandy's dad about once every other week and leave him a voicemail.
He left me a voicemail while we were recording this podcast.
As he should have. But yeah, I mean, it's the one thing about it is just for us is like, it's just a second home, and you meet a lot of people throughout the ways, and you meet a lot of people going down the road. But I know for a fact you could make one phone call and I could live out in Salinas tomorrow, no questions asked.
No, that's awesome. We are fortunate. You know, your community is only as good as the people in it, and we have some of the best, and our volunteers are amazing. Butch and Vivian were the committee persons of the year a couple years ago. They volunteer on the Cowboy Poetry Committee. You know, they host all the bullfighters. That party that Weston referenced, they make a huge donation to our scholarship fund every year from hosting that. They ask for donations, and that's what it goes to. So, yeah, Weston, thank you for pointing that out, and we appreciate all of them. But if you all weren't nice people, we wouldn't want you to be part of the family. So it goes both ways. Yeah. Andy's been sleeping on my couch forever.
Yeah.
That's just it. That's just the Salinas way.
Yeah, I'm sure we have some Fear the Beard fans out there, but if they wanted to follow you throughout the year, where should they look?
Social media, as bad as I've been about it lately, Instagram, Facebook, Bullfighters only. When we got events, BFO is posting nonstop. Our events are live, so they can watch them there on Facebook Live. They're tape delayed for Cowboy Channel. So if you're trying to keep up with me as it goes, I would just say social media. I try and get better throughout the year. Usually this time of year, I realize that I didn't care about it. The holidays, it's New Year, I'll get started, and then it's like, oh yeah, kind of got to start reminding people, yeah, this is what I do. So, but yeah, I start up Sunday in 2026. Here we go.
Well, good luck. Stay safe. 182 days.
182
from today.
It'll be here before we know it. I know that much.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. It's been fun catching up.
Yeah. Good to see you guys.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Or
Alex.
when y'all get down to Fort Worth, maybe we'll run down and see you.
Yeah. It's just me. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't get to go. She's without her sidekick.
I know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll have Carla. It'll be fine.
Eminem, and you only got one M?
Yeah.
She's going to be walking in circles.
Unsupervised. Hey, who's in the barrel out there this year? Is John coming this year?
John and Carla.
Oh, yeah, John
Harrison.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun year.
There you go. They were there my very first year.
Oh, yeah, that might have been the last time, right?
Wait, you said 2014, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't feel like that long ago, but
we're not that old.
I was also here.
We all were.
So was I.
Right.
I remember when y'all was just interns.
That was just me.
Yeah, I didn't work for Salinas yet when we first met Andy. I couldn't even get into the saloon.
He's stuck sitting outside sneaking Benny blasters.
Correct. All right.
might
Well,
not.
thank you
That's
guys.
awesome.
Have a good day.
Thank you guys.
We'll see you guys.
Thank y'all.
Talk to you
Thank
later.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
That was cool.
It's hard to flow when the
But you know,
conversation
by
goes.
the time he
Well, with
goes
three
through and
different
does some
people, too,
editing.
like-
Right.
Yeah, by the time he
But
goes
it was
through and does some
long. I feel
editing.
bad. That was like an hour and 20.
Yeah, but by the